I'm here at the Tongass Historical Museum with Ryan, the curator of exhibits, and we're checking out the new, not semi-permanent, I'm trying to remember the space. Temporary.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out a name for it.
Yeah, Into the Wind. So tell us a little bit about the concept behind this.
Yeah, so the museums, Ketchikan museums, we tell the story of Ketchikan. So this year we decided to do it through the lens of aviation. And it's something that permeates all aspects of life here and really touches home because most people are employed in some way. It affects aviation. It is affected by aviation.
So where did this idea come from and how long have you guys been collecting these pieces?
So we have, most of our collection is actually early years of aviation. So Ellis, we have a lot on the Goose, early years, because we've done previous exhibits in early 2000s, I believe 2004, we did an exhibit on Ellis Airlines. So we decided this past year that we wanted to refocus on aviation and really tell the story of the industry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, follow along with us as we take a closer look. So starting off, I noticed we've got a lot of older photos, looks like some pieces of mail. Tell us a little bit about the beginnings here.
Yeah, so we started off with the first commercial flight here, and that was 1922 with Roy Jones. So what this wall and this part of the exhibit is really telling is from the early years and pioneers all the way through the establishment of commercial aviation in Ketchikan. So some really interesting pieces that we have in here is the first airmail. It's a letter home to his mom saying how busy he is and that it was on Mother's Day, so he wanted to wish her a happy Mother's Day.
Crazy.
Then at the end he signs it off saying save the letter because it might be worth something. Oh. So it was worth something.
Yeah, who knew what to do?
And then another one is pigeon canisters from Roy Jones. So before the years of the radio, they would use pigeons as carrier pigeons to send messages. And Roy Jones would use them in case he got in an accident or if he just wanted to send word. And he actually wrote to Ketchikan Daily News saying to the local kids not to shoot down his pigeons because they were worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so some really nice personal artifacts.
Way cool.
Yeah.
And I noticed behind us we've got quite a bit as well. Talk us
Yes.
through a little bit about these pieces and where they came from.
Yeah, so we're moving then into just the industries that supported aviation and really started aviation in Ketchikan, helped aviation thrive, and in turn aviation helped these industries thrive. So we have logging, mining, prospecting, and then this also then leads into mail and how do you get your mail. So a lot of people use Amazon Prime and they can get it in one day or same day delivery.
Oh, maybe not here.
Yeah, not here.
Yeah.
So here, it usually goes by a float plane at some point to get out to some camp or remote location. So we thought that was kind of funny to include some Amazon boxes, show what modern freight is.
Yep.
And this right here is a flight bag from Mildred Manty. Really wanted to feature Mildred because she was known as a logging camp nurse, an itinerant nurse, and she would go around to the 20 logging camps in and around Ketchikan and conduct hearing tests, do medical examinations. She was a really cool woman, nurse in World War II, lived in Hawaii afterwards, and then made her way up to Ketchikan.
Way cool. And I noticed the Matt Hamilton,
Yes.
the milk run is a bad choice piece.
The milk run's really unique to island living. It's unique to both Alaska, Hawaii, and Australia, and a few islands in the Pacific. Is how do you get around when there's just water around you? Boats do help out, but the fastest, most economical way is aviation.
Yep.
And the milk run's a bad choice. I love that idea because it's something that locals are resigned to do. If you have to go north, you're doing the milk run.
Yep.
So throughout the exhibit, we decided we really want to continue to include artists, local artists, and celebrate them. So we have Matt Hamilton, we have Chip Porter. We're actually going to be getting an Yvonne Zerbit's piece in here as well, a lino cut. So this idea is really making sure that all of the community is involved, and it's just living. So it's not just artifacts, but it's art that then is influenced by the topic that we're doing.
Yeah, and carrying it into the future.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the next spot. So I'm really intrigued by these next two parts of the exhibit, Women in Aviation. This is awesome. So I'm really excited that you were able to pull this into the overarching exhibit, but who all is here?
We have some really awesome women on this wall. So starting off, we have the Restanius sisters. So Marguerite Restanius and Helen Restanius, later Marguerite Fiorella and Helen Todd. So these are the first Haida pilots in Alaska. And then also Marguerite was known as the first female pilot from Ketchikan.
No way.
Yeah. And then leading on, you have Marge Nebel. And Marge came up to Ketchikan in a motorcycle, landed in Ketchikan,
So cool.
and then started flying, and then teaching some of the pilots how to actually drive in Ketchikan.
That's awesome.
And then Dixie, similar story, she just drove north and then ran out of money in Ketchikan and started flying. So just certain aspects of women throughout Ketchikan's aviation history and really making sure that we celebrate and honor their contributions. Continuing on in the wall, Mari Freitag, born and raised in Ketchikan, now she's a Navy pilot.
Cool.
And this is after her first solo in a Super Hornet. And then you have Michelle Madsen, owner and operator of Island Wings. And this whole area here is talking about learning how to fly in Ketchikan and the special considerations you have to take. So Michelle actually, she credits Terry Cousins, who's featured on the wall, as a mentor and one that really drove her into becoming a pilot. So throughout the whole entire industry, you need to have hands-on learning and experience, because what you might have hours flying down south in the lower 48, it doesn't equate to flying in this environment. So you need to make sure that you're sitting in the co-pilot seat and there's a pilot that's telling you all about the locations, whether it's flying into a certain bay and the conditions that you might face there, or just pointing out different features in the landscape to know your way around.
Yeah, and I would assume too that there's probably a lot of opportunities to learn because we depend so heavily on planes.
Yeah, so a lot of people, they start out in the industry as dock boys, dock hands, or working as freight hogs, moving freight into the planes. So that's really kind of where they get their bug. And then unfortunately, we don't have any training schools in Ketchikan. We're trying to work on it, the industry's trying to work on that, and also reaching out to kids at earlier ages to get them excited, to show them that you have these possibilities for a career.
Definitely.
Yeah, but a lot of people have to go down south or up north to actually do a flight school, but then usually they're coming on back to Ketchikan and working their way up to become pilots.
Awesome, very cool. All right, well, let's go check out the next spot. So this next segment, we are looking at our unsung heroes. What exactly is that referring to?
So it's referring to the people in the industry that really, a lot of times their jobs mean that they aren't actually seen, even though they're so pivotal to the industry and making sure that every plane is flying. You might not actually recognize them as the people that are helping out. So a lot of the focus is on pilots. We decided to refocus that on everybody that you might not be seeing.
Oh, I see. So give us some examples.
So some examples would be the mechanics. So when everyone goes home for the night and the planes are docked, it's the mechanics that stay late to make sure that those planes are ready to fly in the morning. Another example are dock boys, dock hands. So they are the ones that get there before the planes are even going, making sure that they're clean, prepped, ready to get fueled to go flying. So one example is the pledge and paper towel that we have. So they use that to clean the windshield to make sure that it's water repellent, basically. And that's probably one of the most interesting things that we've actually cataloged in the museum is a paper towel and a thing of pledge. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
But we really wanted to make sure that we had that there to show that part of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
And another example is then dispatchers. So dispatchers are basically the co-pilot that's on the ground, making sure that the pilots know what the weather is, where they're going, and if they need to divert their route anywhere.
Okay, cool, awesome. Anything else that sticks out, I guess, or people should pay attention to in this one?
Yeah, another example here is the lunchbox. So what does the working man use? That's kind of that idea, is it's a lunchbox. This thing's beat up. It's metal, it's a little tough because in your working environment's tough.
Yep.
So just showing that and a thermos, usually filled with coffee. One quote that we loved was that aviation runs on coffee, not fuel. So
true.
That's it.
I mean,
working long hours.
Exactly. Well, and I think about those mechanics too who are staying up through the night to make sure that those planes are ready to go in the morning. So
yeah,
makes sense. Well, way cool. Let's check out the next segment. So tell us a little bit about this part of the exhibit.
This area of the exhibit, we decided to focus on utility and recreation. This is our way of life. How do we use aviation to basically do everything that we want to do, whether it's going to work or having fun? And we start off with featuring Temsco and Ken Eichner, who's one of the founders of Temsco, and really involved in the starting of KVRS, Ketchikan Volunteer Rescue Squad. A lot of people don't realize that Temsco is actually an acronym for Timber Exploration, Mining, Surveying, and Cargo Operations.
Crazy.
So their name really just shows you how you can use aviation in a remote place like this.
And this is kind of the first spot that we really see helicopters coming into play.
Yeah,
correct?
and Ken Eichner actually, he was pivotal in showing and proving that helicopters are really important to get to the places that aviation, like float planes, can. So one example is they had a SEPA project, which was just getting power lines through Alaska, and they had to have a very small base. Well, what can do that? Helicopters hovering above.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how they got workers in and equipment.
Well, and you have to think about rescue too. I mean, that's
Definitely.
such a huge, having those services available when things go wrong because of the terrain we live in.
Exactly.
Things go wrong all the time. So.
Yeah, and then how does our community respond to that? So that's where KVRS comes in, Temsco as well. And then on top of it, even float planes. So if there's someone out in a remote community and someone gets a call on the radio, that plane gets diverted and they go and they become an ambulance, basically. So it's really awesome to see how our community comes together in times of need.
Yeah, definitely. And then behind us, we've got some fun little pieces I've noticed. You mentioned kind of the recreation, so hunting, fishing. Obviously, people have to have a way to get out to these more remote areas to do that. But I think what stood out to me the most was this photo right behind us with a mother and her daughter. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so this was a berth on Randy Sullivan's plane, and it's featuring Jen Chinook and her daughter Isabel. So Randy was bringing Jen from Metlakatla to the hospital in Ketchikan, and she gave birth mid-flight. So it's really cool because in other places down south, you might hear of someone like giving birth on the side of a highway in the car on their way to the hospital, and here it's an airplane on the way to the hospital. So I think it's a great story just showing life and how aviation features into that.
Definitely. And then, I mean, over here on this side, looks like we've got a bowling shirt. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a bowling shirt, and then also a news clipping of Ellis bowling shirt, and then a newspaper clipping of the Weber bowling team. So Ketchikan also used to have a bowling alley. I really wish we could bring that back.
Seriously.
Yeah, but just how aviation is in all aspects of life, whether it's bowling or a Christmas ornament. And this right here is of the Ellis Goose. by Gene Howard. And it's just showing that aspect that aviation is everywhere and it inspires us as well. And then the last one here, we got a jacket from the Save the Goose Project. So the Save the Goose Project was started by Don Bucky Dawson, and it's through the Tongass Historical Society as well. And they are refurbishing and rehabbing a goose, Grumman goose, that flew in Ketchikan. It was the first of the fleet. And it's actually a project that you can go out every Sunday from 1 to 5 and go look at the progress.
Oh, no way.
It's really awesome.
Way cool.
Yeah, you can spend an entire afternoon there.
Well, if you guys didn't hear that, definitely ways to get involved, ways to check things out. This is a beautiful exhibit and
Thanks.
Awesome for all those out there to check out. When are the time frames for people to come by and visit and see things?
So we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 1 to 5. Those are our winter hours. And then in the summer, we'll be open more often as well. And we're gonna be having different events throughout the opening of this exhibit. It'll be open for 10 months, so you definitely have some time to come on out here, bring some friends and family. We're always free for Ketchikan's residents and their guests.
Yep.
And just wanted to let everyone know too that what you see here, what we share, is what people share with us. So if there's anything that inspires you in this exhibit to say, wow, I should look through what I have of aviation and show the museum that, we really hope that this exhibit inspires conversation, because we can't tell the full story here. We don't have enough room to tell the full story of aviation, but hopefully we can get the dialogue started.
Well, and I noticed there's a huge list of people that contributed.
Oh, definitely.
Just a ginormous list. You couldn't even probably name them all here right now. It would take like an hour.
Yeah, I've been really blown away at just how many people in the community here really got invested and have supported us throughout this whole process, wanting to share their stories and their own personal stories of aviation.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
And thank you everybody for watching. Make sure, check out for upcoming events. You guys have a Facebook page,
yes.
Correct?
Yep.
So probably Tongass Historical Museum would be
yes.
the main spot to check out. So make sure to stay tuned for upcoming things going on.